All right, so welcome back. Like I've promised in the last video of the Chinese civilization, uh we'll be talking about the Tang model in Korea and Japan. Like I said earlier, they are just mostly intertwined and somehow related to each other. Like, China was the cultural heartland of East Asia, and she strongly influenced her neighbors, especially Vietnam, Korea, like I've said earlier, and Japan. Korea is now into two now, which is South Korea and North Korea. Korea and Japan, then Vietnam and Korea derived most of the higher civilization from China, including the writing systems, philosophies, and political instructions. Till date, that is massive to think that it's one country influenced the system, the writing and civilization of another of other countries. It is very it is such a great feat, and China attained that feat in just a sneak peek. So the Chinese Tang system became the government model, and Confucianism was adopted as a political ideology. Definitely, the Koreans adopted Chinese writings and translated this into their own language. Somehow they are somehow related, but the Korean names and Chinese names differs a little bit, and Japan is totally different. The origins of such martial arts as karate and taekwondo can be traced to Chinese teachings, but now mostly practiced by Japanese. Even today, there is still Kung Fu. Yeah, that is a extreme martial art, which is originated, which is rumored, or which is to be from the Chinese civilization, and then there is connections to it with Buddha from India. But going forward, the Chinese ideas and methods that Japan adopted helped in transforming the latter into a dynamic and sophisticated civilization, that is Japan. And during the Tang Dynasty, the Japanese carried out 3 centuries of deliberate cultural borrowing from China. I mean, 300 years of cultural borrowing, deliberately borrowing the Chinese culture for 300 years. That is 3 centuries. That is such a massive feat from China, for you to think that a country as huge as Japan is even borrowed your culture for 300 years, and which consequently enabled Japan to enter into the mainstream of world history. Yes, using the Chinese writing system, the Japanese began conducting their daily activities and recording their history, all thanks to the Chinese and Tang civilization. The adoption of Buddhism also ensured the transfer of a rich heritage of arts and architecture to Japan. Japan direct cultural borrowing from China began to fade in 794, when the capital moved from Nara to Hyonkyo, which is now known present day Kyoto. After several decades, Japan gradually returned to a period of relative isolation, and in the 19th century, the Japanese began the process of consciously absorbing and adapting Chinese patterns and attempting to make them genuinely Japanese. You can see how the Tang model shaped Korea and Japan. Japan, to be precise, Tang is such a powerful and a strong country on its own, but then all thanks to the Chinese and Tang civilization that brought them into the limelight. The last video and the last topic that will usher the bye-bye on this major world civilization, on the Chinese civilization, will be the Tang decline and heritage of the Chinese civilization. Until then, I'll see you in the next video, where I'll talk about this, and we'll say bye to the Chinese civilization and talk about another major world civilization.